Of issues happening in Liberia and the rest of the world. For God TV, with check and balance, we bring it as it unfolds. For God TV, bringing you face to face with newsmakers in town. For God TV, the best online platform in broadcasting. For God TV, located at Topo Village, Somalia Drive, Liberia. Be the part and experience the best in online broadcasting.
Hello dear, my name is K. Lyndon Toba. I'm in search of a platform where I can get credible information of our daily happenings in Liberia and the world life.
Hello K. Lyndon Toba. My name is Greg Courage Pa. Haven't you heard about Focal Online TV?
You say Focal Online TV?
Focal Online TV is located within a Topo Village community along the Japanese Highway.
Tell me more about the platform.
This platform, called Focal Online TV Daily Edition of Inside the Print Media, does not encourage any form of dialogue between the viewers and the presenters.
Oh, you mean nobody calling there?
No, you can't call on a show. Let me talking out like with no calling there. So all you can do is you will listen to the news, and they can also encourage you to buy the newspaper to listen to the news in details.
But do you do viewer recognition at times?
Oh yes, we do viewer recognition. When you are watching, we notify you, and sometimes we even appreciate you on a show, telling you thank you for always following us. We also encourage you to share the live stream, because the more you share the live stream, we transform and we transition ourselves as a broadcast team as well.
Wow. So when can I better get this program you are talking about?
This program is aired every Monday to Friday at 10 a.m. to 10:45. The program runs for 45 minutes.
Wow.
And guess what?
Wow.
We bring you hot stories of our trending situation within our country, Liberia. Imagine hearing stories from Hot Pepper newspaper, from the Daily Observer newspaper, from Front Page Africa. Are you a lover of Front Page Africa?
Oh yes, I'm a lover of
Front Page Africa, and the Women Voices, and a lot more. Not forgetting international news, BBC,
wow.
CNN, ABC News. We bring you headlines from those standpoints.
Wow, that is very, very, very amazing.
So we say, join us every day on the daily edition of Inside the Print Media.
Focal TV, bringing you innovation to broadcasting, news, views, comments, and analysis of issues happening in Liberia and the rest of the world. Focal TV, with check and balance, we bring it as it unfolds. Focal TV, bringing you face to face with newsmakers in town. Focal TV, the best online platform in broadcasting.
Hello dear, my name is K. Lyndon Toba. I'm in search of a platform where I can get credible information of our daily happenings in Liberia and the world life.
Hello K. Lyndon Toba. My name is Greg Courage Pa. Haven't you heard about Focal Online TV?
You say Focal Online TV?
Focal Online TV is located within a Topo Village community along the Japanese Highway.
Tell me more about the platform.
This platform, called Focal Online TV Daily Edition of Inside the Print Media, does not encourage any form of dialogue between the viewers and the presenters.
Oh, you mean nobody calling there?
No, you can't call on a show. Let me talking out like with no calling there. So all you can do is you will listen to the news, and they can also encourage you to buy the newspaper to listen to the news in details.
But do you do viewer recognition at times?
Oh yes, we do viewer recognition. When you are watching, we notify you, and sometimes we even appreciate you on a show, telling you thank you for always following us. We also encourage you to share the live stream, because the more you share the live stream, we transform and we transition ourselves as a broadcast team as well.
Wow. So when can I better get this program you are talking about?
This program is aired every Monday to Friday at 10 a.m. to 10:45. The program runs for 45 minutes.
Wow.
And guess what?
Wow.
We bring you hot stories of our trending situation within our country, Liberia. Imagine hearing stories from Hot Pepper newspaper, from the Daily Observer newspaper, from Front Page Africa. Are you a lover of Front Page Africa?
Oh yes, I'm a lover of
Front Page Africa, and the women voices, and a lot more. Not forgetting international news, BBC, CNN, ABC News. We bring you headlines from those standpoints.
Wow, that is very, very, very amazing.
So we say, join us every day on the daily edition of Inside the Print Media at 10 a.m. with the headlines of top stories in our country and the world at large on Focal Online TV.
This is how I choose to welcome you to Monday, November 27th edition of the program Inside the Print Media, where we will be looking specifically at stories from our country, Liberia. So for today, we have lots of newspapers within our possession. We have the Front Page Africa newspaper, we have the Daily Observer newspaper, we have the New Dawn newspaper, and we have the Hot Pepper newspaper. So these are the four newspapers we have within our possession. So my name is K. Lyndon Tugba, and I will be running you through all of the major happenings relative to our country, Liberia. It must be said that we Liberians must always work towards maintaining the peace, even though we have just conducted a peaceful and credible elections in our country. The results has been announced, but it is equally important that we provoke the issues about peace rather than resorting into violence. So let's look at the various newspaper for today. The Daily Observer newspaper, the headline says, Presidential Transitional Team in Full Swing. Presidential Transitional Team in Full Swing. So better still, you can go and grab yourself a copy of the Daily Observer newspaper. That is where you will find Presidential Transitional Team in Full Swing. Then you can be able to get yourself abreast with the major details, because we will definitely bring you the summary of the stories here. So let's go over to another headline. Attempted coup to curfew to calm Sierra Leone. This story is particularly coming from Sierra Leone, our neighboring country. Attempted coup to curfew to calm. President Bill says Sunday attack on Emirate in Freetown has been overcome. So they have managed to resolve that particular issue very quickly. So thanks to the military there. Let's go over to the New Dawn newspaper. Court upholds 3 million verdict against LBDI ex-president. Court upholds 3 million verdict against LBDI ex-president. So let's go over to another headlines on the New Dawn newspaper. If Judiciary Circuit Court in Nimba turns death trap. If Judiciary Circuit Court in Nimba County turns death trap. Let's go over to the Front Page Africa newspaper. President-elect Wakat Transitional Team appointees Mayor EJS era. President-elect Waka Transitional Team appointees Mayors EJS era. As Front Page Africa weighs in on EJS exit versus George Manawia exit. So very, very interesting. The airline is very, very interesting from Front Page Africa. They are actually saying that the recent appointment of the transitional team, reflecting those who was recently appointed by President-elect Joseph Boakai, is similar to the transitional team or the people who work in the Ellen government. So we will be giving you a little summary about what they are trying to say. And let's go over to the other portion of their headline. Liberian diplomat in UAE provided expertise to blue carbon identified as an Italian fugitive. You all know what a fugitive is. Let me read that headline again. Liberian diplomat in UAE providing expertise to blue carbon identified as Italian fugitive. So let's go quickly over to the Hot Pepper newspaper. ArcelorMittal Phase 2 expansion, a partnership rooted in contribution and share impact. ArcelorMittal Phase 2 expansion, a partnership rooted in contribution and share impact. Let's go over to the last headlines on the Hot Pepper newspaper. Expert witness questions police report in Chalamusu case. Says it is possible intruder murdered the victim. Expert witness question police report in Chalamusu case. Says it is possible intruder murdered the victim. I guess you understand what the word intruder is. So let's go over, let's take a short break. When we come back, we begin reading to you the various details supporting the various headlines that was read to you.
Hello dear, my name is K. Lyndon Togba. I'm in search of a platform where I can get credible information of our daily happenings in Liberia and the world at large.
Hello, K. Lyndon Togba. My name is Greg Courage Pa. Haven't you heard about Focal Online TV?
You say Focal Online TV?
Focal Online TV is located within a Tobo village community along the Japanese highway.
Tell me more about the platform.
This platform, called Focal Online TV Daily Edition of Inside the Print Media, does not encourage any form of dialogue between the viewers and the presenters.
Oh, you mean nobody calling there?
No, you can't call on a show. Let me talking out like when we're no calling there. So all you can do is you will listen to the news, and they can also encourage you to buy the newspaper to listen to the news in details.
But do you do viewer recognition at times?
Oh yes, we do viewer recognition. When you are watching, we notify you, and sometimes we even appreciate you on a show, telling you thank you for always following us. We also encourage you to share the live stream, because the more you share the live stream, we transform and we transition ourselves as a broadcast team as well.
Wow. So when can I really get this program you are talking about?
This program is aired every Monday to Friday at 10 a.m. to 10:45. The program runs for 45 minutes.
Wow.
And guess what?
Wow.
We bring you hot stories of our trending situation within our country, Liberia. Imagine hearing stories from Hot Pepper newspaper, from the Daily Observer newspaper, from Front Page Africa. Are you a lover of Front Page Africa?
Oh yes, I'm a lover of
Front Page Africa, and the Women Voices, and a lot more. Not forgetting international news, BBC,
wow.
CNN, ABC News. We bring you headlines from those standpoints.
Wow, that is very, very, very amazing.
So we say, join us every day on the daily edition of Inside the Print Media at 10 a.m. with the headlines of top stories in our country and the world at large on Focal Online TV.
Just listening to the headlines that were read to you relative to the number of papers we have within our possession. So let's go quickly over to the Daily Observer newspaper. As President-elect Bouakar names members to the president's transitional team, President-elect Joe Bouakar has named members to the joint presidential transitional team, which will ensure a smooth transition from the outgoing coalitions of democratic change government to the incoming Unity Party regime. The constitution of the team aligns with Executive Order 123, recently passed by President George Weah. The team tasked with facilitating the smooth transfer of power is set to commence its function within 48 hours after the official declarations of the president-elect by the National Elections Commission. Last Tuesday, President Weah issued a presidential decree ordering the formation of a joint presidential transitional team to oversee the smooth transfer of power following the declarations of Joseph Boakai as the winner of last week's presidential runoff. The Boakai was declared the winner last Monday after the National Electoral Commission released the first set of results from Tuesday voting. Weah was quoted in a statement issued by the executive mansion stating that he ordered the setting up of the transition team by the power and authority vested in him by the country's constitutions. This requires the incumbent administration to develop a system of appropriate protocols and mechanisms for the smooth transfer of power after every elections. According to the statement, the committee will be co-chaired by President Weah and Vice President-elect Boakai. Others named already appointed include cabinet ministers such as Foreign Affairs Minister, Justice Ministers, Defense and Presidential Affairs. Boakai was invited to designate 20 persons to the committee according to the decree. He also states that both President Weah and President-elect may choose to designate people to represent them as co-chair of the committee in their absence. The President-elect speaking at the Cecilia Dennis Auditorium at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs revealed his team members during a joint meeting with President Weah's team. He designated the Vice President-elect to act as co-chairperson in his absence, overseeing all affairs of the joint presidential transitional team and conducting meetings. Additionally, Mr. Amos Swear has been appointed to serve as the member of the Secretariat, joined by Councillor Kopo Crowd and Amarai Conan. The President-elect has also designated 20 prominent Liberians to the joint presidential transitional team, ensuring diverse perspective in the transition process. The appointed members include Lucien Camara, Louis Poto, Councillor Kopo Crowd, Madela Kopo, Dr. Yuri Yakpawulo, Samuel Kofi Hughes, Dr. Augustine Conan, Bweman Amara Kamara, Reverend Luto Tape, Dabla Vapla, Edward Apitam, John Molu, Sam Gay, Mr. Sir Johnny Noah, Noah Zhao Gibson, Sarah Beslow, Yanti Amara Conan, Jimin Horace Cully, Wilmer Pay, and Jacob Smith. The joint presidential transitional team, established by President George Manuel Weah through the Executive Order 123, is co-chaired by the incumbent president and the president-elect. Flexibility was granted to President-elect Boakai to designate a representative in his absence, ensuring the continuous and efficient functioning of the team. Decisions from within the joint presidential transitional team will be made by consensus, with any disagreement to be resolved jointly by the incumbent president and the president-elect. The team's mandate will cease upon the publication of the final report, ensuring the completion of the transition no later than 48 hours before the inauguration of the president-elect and vice president-elect. Decisions of the joint presidential transitional team shall be made by consensus, and any disagreement shall be resolved by the incumbent president and the president-elect acting jointly. The statement said the president is expected to be inducted into office on January 22nd, 2024. This is how we move over to another headline. Sierra Leone attempted coup to Kofi to come. President Bill says Sunday attack on Amarit in Freetown has been overcome. Freetown. Sierra Leone President Judas Maada Bio said most of the leaders of the attack on a military barrack in the capital Freetown earlier on Sunday had been arrested, adding that security operations and investigations were ongoing. We were ensured that those responsible are held accountable Bill said on national television. As your commander-in-chief, I want to assure everybody who is a resident in Sierra Leone that we have overcome this challenge, he said, and calm have been restored. Earlier, the government said security forces have repelled renegade soldiers who attempted to break into a military armory in Freetown during the early hours of Sunday. A nationwide curfew was imposed. Gunfire was heard across the city as an assailant attacked a prison and a police station. It was not immediately clear if there were any casualties in the barrack attack or during the gunfire in Freetown on Sunday. The country's former president, Ernest Bai Koroma, said in a statement that the military guard assigned to his residence in the capital was shot point blank, while another was whisked away to an unknown location. Koroma did not say who shot the guy. He condemned the killing and the attack on the barrack. I am deeply concerned that once again our beloved nation could be subject to such insecurity, he said. The West African country Civil Aviation Authority urged airlines to reschedule flight after the curfew was declared, while it stood out on its frontier with neighboring Guinea toll routers. They had been instructed to shut the borders. A Reuters journalist who earlier witnessed an armed group of men commanded a police vehicle near the Wilberforce barrack said streets were mostly empty on Sunday as residents hunkered down. We will clean this society. We know what we are up to. We are not after any ordinary civilian who should go about their normal businesses. One of the marksmen who was dressed in military fatigue said before driving away. Sierra Leone has been tense since Bill was re-elected in June, a result rejected by many opposition candidates and questioned by international partners, including the United States and the European Union. In August 2022, at least 21 civilian and 6 police officers were killed in anti-government protests in Sierra Leone, which is still recovering from 1991 to 2003 civil war in which more than 50,000 were killed. Bill said the protests were an attempt to overthrow the government. In his address to the nations on Sunday night, Bill called on Sierra Leonean political and traditional leaders and civil society to work to preserve peace. Let us not succumb to fear division, he said. Information Minister Chenon Bai said earlier on Sunday that security forces were making progress in apprehending those involved in the attack, but gave no further details. A video on social media showed 3 men, 2 in fatigue and 1 in civilian clothes, with their arms tied behind their back, sitting in a military truck surrounded by soldiers. Reuters has not authenticated the video. Bai said that the major detention centers, including the Padima and Row prisons, were attacked and images were released by unidentified assailants. It was not immediately clear how many prisoners had broken out of the facility, which a U.S. State Department report said was designed for 324 inmates, but held more than 2,000 in 2019. Videos posted on social media, which were authenticated by Reuters, showed several people fleeing from areas of the prison while gunshots could be heard in the background. The security forces were forced to make a tactical retreat. The prisons were those overthrown, said Bai, who had earlier announced a nationwide curfew and called for people to stay indoors. The Economic Community of West African States condemned what is called an attempt by certain individuals to acquire arms and disrupt constitutional order in Sierra Leone. The U.S. Embassy in Freetown says such actions were not justified. There have been tight military coups in West and Central Africa since 2021. This is how we move over to the New Dawn newspaper. Court upholds $3 million verdict against LBDA LBDI ex-president. The civil law court in Monrovia has upheld a jury verdict that finds former Liberia Bank for Development and Investment President Dio Dinani liable for $3 million for general damages and punitive damages as well. Mr. Francis Dennis filed a complaint before the court accusing Dinani of allegedly tarnishing his reputation that he is a delinquent borrower. Mr. Dennis lamented that Dinani dehumanized, embarrassed, and caused mockery to him and exposed him to undue and inconveniences and emotional and mental anguish through a radio appearance on LBS and other radio stations. Dennis complained that Dinani, while in an official capacity as LBDI president, allegedly breached his fiduciary duty of the bank customer relationship in a loan agreement published in the press. In December 2022, Mr. Dinani quit his job as LBDI president after LBDI board of directors discovered that the accused had lied about his academic credentials. While applying for the LBDI president position, Dinani was said to have inflated his curriculum vitae. During the final ruling of the civil case, defendant Dinani was absent, but the court appointed Councilor Jerome B. Colette to take the ruling and exercising the right of the defendant under the law. In his complaint, Mr. Dennis narrated to the court that he had a loan facility with LBDI which had not been matured and was under no condition for him to be exposed as a delinquent borrower. He lamented that the allegation carried out by Mr. Dinani was untrue and it was only intended to undermine and destroy his high-end reputation. He believed that Dinani's sole objective was achieved. In his ruling, Judge Kennedy Peabody said a writ of summons was issued against Mr. Dinani, but he could not be found. The judge noted that the arguments were heard and the jury was instructed accordingly, after which the jury returned with a unanimous verdict against Mr. Dinani, stating that he was liable for the amount of $2.5 million for general damages and further awarded the complainant $500,000 for punitive damages. Judge Peabody indicated that the verdict is supported by evidence and that the court affirms and confirms that the verdict against the defendant. Wherefore, and in view of the foregoing, this court finds the defendant liable to the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500,000 United States dollars for general damages and $5,000 for punitive damages ruled against the defendant with costs, said Judge Peabody. This is how we move over to another headlines on the New Dawn newspaper. If Judiciary Circuit Complex in Nimba County turns death trap. The 8th Judiciary Circuit Court Complex hosting various judges and other court workers in Staniquili, Nimba County is reportedly becoming a death trap due to dilapidation. The Judiciary Court Complex was constructed under the administration of former Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, alongside retired Justice Francis Ekpakpo, including former Associate Justice Kabina Janet and James Ethel H. Wolokole, including current Chief Justice A. Yami Yode, funded by the government of Liberia. But it has rapidly depreciated within a period of 6 years, becoming a death trap with life-threatening tracts. The facility currently hosts judges of the court, circuit court, county attorney, and public defender, as well as traffic court that is yet to be open to the public, among others. Most of the magistrates and judges are unhappy about the present working environment in such building because of threat posed to their lives and the lives of other judicial workers there. Several court workers who prefer anonymity confided in the New Dawn that they are not happy about the building's condition because they don't want their lives to be taken away. Due to the bad state of the judiciary complex, most court workers, including judges, are not happy to report to work. Journalists in this building is not journalists. This building is not good. When we are working, our lives are at risk. We can't continue to work in such a condition, they lament. During a tour of the facility, the New Dawn observed leakages, including in the main circuit courtroom, among others. Since its dedications in August 2017, contractor Beta Construction Company has yet to pay a visit to San Quili to see the condition of the building. All efforts by our correspondent to contact the management of Beta Construction Company was unsuccessful due to the lack of contact number, including number of our chief architect David Y. Badiou as well. So with this being said, we will go over to the front page African newspaper. President-elect Bouaka transitional team appointees Meros EJ Ed era as front page Africa weighs on Ellen Johnson Sirleaf exit versus George Man Weah exit. George Weah was a man of many surprises throughout his presidency, but his early concession to former Vice President Joseph Boakai of the Unity Party after November 14 run-off election did not come as a surprise. It came as a shock to many, but locally and internationally. The incumbent succumbed his seat to losing a margin of 1.8% of the total valid votes. In his concession speech, President Weah noted that though his party, the Coalitions of Democratic Change, had lost the election, Liberians in general have won. This is the time for graciousness in defeat, he said. Both the October 10 elections and its subsequent runoff on November 14 have been described by local and international observers as peaceful, credible, and transparent. It is the first general and presidential elections to be held in the absence of the international peacekeepers since the end of the Civil War in 2003. Having considered the election, President Weah again wasted no time to issuing Executive Order 123 for the establishment of the Joint Presidential Transitional Team, which had been clothed with the mandate to ensure the facilitating the smooth transfer of power from current Coalitions of Democratic Change government to the newly elected administration. The formation of the Joint Presidential Transitional Team was introduced by former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf on December 25, 2017, through the Executive Order 91. Acting under Chapter 2, Article 5C of the Constitution, Madam Sirleaf established the Joint Presidential Transitional Team to establish mechanisms for the proper management or other transfer of executive power from this current administration to the incoming president, since the country at the time had not had any transfer of power over 70 years. President Weah opted to follow the steps and appointed the Ministers of Foreign Affairs and Dean of the Cabinet, Ministers of Finance and Development Planning, Ministers of Justice, National Defense, and Ministers of State for Presidential Affairs. Additionally, key positions have been assigned to ministries and agencies crucial to the function of the Liberian government. President Weah also invited President-elect Joseph Boakai to designate 20 Liberian citizens to the Joint Presidential Transitional Team. This move aimed to ensure diverse perspective in facilitating the transition process. The co-chairman of the Joint Presidential Transition Team will be jointly held by the incumbent president and the president-elect. In the absence of President Weah, the Ministers of Foreign Affairs and Dean of the Cabinet will act as co-chairperson. President-elect Waka has also designated 20 prominent Liberian citizens to the Joint Presidential Transitional Team, ensuring a diverse perspective in the transition process. The appointed members include Lucini Camara, Luis Poto, Councilor Kopo Crow, Mandela Kopo, Dr. Yuri Yakwaulu, Samuel Kofi Woods II, Dr. Augustine Cannon, Waman Kamara, Reverend Luto Tape, Dabla Vapla, Edward Appetom, John Molu, Sam Gay, Mr. Sam Johnny, Noah Zhao Gibson, Sarah Beslo Yanti, Amara Conan, Jimmy Horace Cully, William P., and Jacob Smith. The team comprises well-experienced individuals in diverse areas, leading many to believe that the composition mirrors his potential cabinet. However, concerns arise with the team represents a reincarnation of the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf era under Bwaka's leadership, given that some key members were part of the Sirleaf cabinet. We are transitioning, but we are actually going back to the past because we are beginning to see the very phases we criticized in the past under the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf regime. Maybe Liberians have gotten so soon the hardship, corruption, and neglect experienced during that regime. We cannot afford to repeat that, said Emmanuel Jacob, a resident of Pinsville and a student of the African Methodist Episcopal University. The skepticism expressed by Jacob suggests a fear of continuity rather than genuine transition, raising questions about Bwaka's commitment to addressing the shortcomings of the past. But Natasha Ballis argues that the composition of the teams will reflect the inclusivity is a fulfillment of President Bwaka's promise that could form a responsible and accountable government. In his victory speech, he promised us that he could form a responsible government. And when you look at those he has appointed to the transitional team, you can tell that it means it. They are responsible and well-respected individuals in our society. They are role models and people we can look up to, said Bali, who identify as a civil servant. Bali's perspective suggests a belief in Bwaka's commitment to creating a positive change and building a government characterized by responsibility and accountability. The emphasis on the reputations and respectability of the team member implies that Bwaka's choice are aligned with his promises to form a government that can be trusted and admired by the public. By the end of the Sirleaf era in 2017, Liberia was ranked 122 to 180 in the corruption index with a score of 31 over 100 according to Transparency International. This rank was a minus 6-point score from the previous year. As the Weah-led administration is exiting, the country's current corruption rank is perceived level of public sector corruptions on scale of 0 to 1,000, where 0 means highly corrupt and 1,000 means very clean. This means President Weah leaves a worse corruption index compared to the Sirleaf exit as Transparency International rating. With this being said, this is how we move to another headline under the front page Africa newspaper. Liberian diplomat in UAE providing expertise to blue carbon identified as an Italian fugitive. Dubai-based startup Blue Carbon with plans to revolutionize the carbon offsetting market has enlisted the expertise of a controversial figure, Samuel Landi, a 58-year-old Italian living in exile. Interestingly, he is a Liberian diplomat living on a floating island Gulf in the Gulf. Landi is advising the UAE frontier by the members of Dubai's royal family on its ambiguous goal to acquire forested areas the size of the United Kingdom and sell carbon credits on a UN established mechanism. Lendi's role in blue carbon raises questions about the company's integrity due to his past trouble. Lendi, the founder and former CEO of Italia, once a major Italian telecommunication fled Italy after being convicted in 2 trials for bankruptcy fraud, which led to the collapse of Italia, leaving over 2,200 people unemployed nearly 15 years ago. Despite the legal issue, Blue Carbon has defended Lendi's adversary road, emphasizing his extensive technology experience. Lendi owns a cybersecurity firm in Dubai, as a Liberian diplomat claims to have played a role in fostering diplomatic relations between Liberia and the UAE. Liberia is one of the African countries that have signed a raft of memorandum of understanding with Blue Carbon in the run-up to COP28, alongside with the government of Kenya, Angola, Zimbabwe, Zambia, and Tanzania. Lendi said he was not directly involved in the negotiation between Blue Carbon and Liberia. In March this year, Liberia and the UAE signed a $50 million deal with Blue Carbon. The memorandum of understanding to implement carbon removal products in the forestry sector in Liberia was signed on the article, an important step towards promoting sustainable forest management practices and fighting against Liberia. The executive order stated that the MOU also aimed at establishing a cooperation framework for the development of nature-based solution projects in Liberia, with Blue Carbon developing strategies to build carbon markets through transparency and audit high-intensity carbon emissions throughout the country. National and international campaigners have criticized the deal, among other things. This regarding the right of rural communities, the Land Right Acts and Community Rights Law, with respect to the forest land guarantee local free prior and informed consent for land and forest-based concessions. Critics such as Alexander Benjamin from FEM describe Blue Carbon plans as a new scramble for Africa, expressing worries about the impact on the lives and livelihood of rural African communities. Concerns include false evasion, lack of transparency, and doubt about the financial benefit reaching the local communities. Blue Carbon claim its deal will bring the vital environmental impact and a transformative wave of economic opportunity for the African countries involved. However, there are fears that the sheer volume of carbon credits generated could lead to greenwashing of oil and gas operations without substantial emissions reductions. The upcoming plans to reveal more details about its carbon credit plan at the upcoming COP28 in Dubai, representing its due as a blueprint for carbon trading. Meanwhile, Lendi giving on a badge in the international Okay, folks, we want to sincerely apologize for the technical issue that interrupted the flow of our broadcast. We want to sincerely apologize to that. With this being said, this is how we will bring today's Monday edition of the program Inside the Print Media to an end. Thanks to all of you who have been watching with all of you. We extend our thanks and gratitude for your listening audience as always. My name is Ken Lyndon Topa, and this is how I choose to call your day on this segment of the program Inside the Print Media.